pumpkin face.
Hey, Mama, you asking for it.
Ever wonder what happened to your favorite sitcom star? 1 minute they're in your living room every week, and the next, they're gone. We're digging into the 20 most shocking disappearing acts in TV history. Some left for fame, some for family, and one was kicked off his own show for a reason that was kept secret for 30 years. 1. Gary Reichel.
This feeling inside, I'm not one of those who...
Let's start with one of the strangest stories in TV history. Everyone remembers the Brady Bunch, but do you remember the Brady Bunch Variety Hour? It was a wild show from the 1970s where the cast would sing and dance. It was something. But here's the kicker. One of the kids was missing. Eve Plum, the actress who played Jan, wanted nothing to do with it. The producers were in a panic. How can you have the Bradys with no Jan? Their solution was to just hire a new one. They cast an actress named Gary Reichel, who looked and sounded a lot like the original. For 9 episodes, she was Jan Brady. She sang, she danced, and she told jokes. The show was a massive flop. Critics hated it, and fans were confused. As soon as the show was canceled, Gary Reichel vanished. She became known as Fake Jan. The experience was so weird that she stepped away from Hollywood almost completely. She became a professional singer and performer, but never returned to major television. She disappeared from the spotlight as fast as she had arrived, forever known as the other Jan. It's tough being a replacement. But what about an actor who was part of the original cast and still got erased? Our next star was Fonzie's original best friend, and then he just wasn't. 2. Randall Carver. Most people think Fonzie's best friend was Ralph Malph or Potsy, but if you watch the very first episodes of Happy Days, you'll see a third guy. His name was Skip. He was a cool basketball-playing friend of Richie and the gang. He was played by an actor named Randall Carver. In Season 1, Skip was a major character. He was there at Arnold's, he was part of the jokes, and he was set up to be a key member of the group. Then something big happened. The character of Fonzie, who was just a small side character at first, exploded in popularity. The audience loved him. The network told the producers to put Fonzie in every scene. They wanted him to be the star. To put it mildly, this was bad news for the other actors. The writers had to make room for Fonzie, so they started cutting other people's lines. The first to go? Skip. After Season 1, Randall Carver was just gone. His character was never mentioned again. He didn't move. He didn't go to college. He just vanished. Carver was crushed. He had thought this was his big break. He did a few more small TV spots and then disappeared from Hollywood to run a small business, a true victim of the Fonz's massive success. It's one thing to get pushed out by a star, but what about a guy who was a main character on a hit show and then just chose to leave it all? 3. Byron Stewart.
Hey, Salami.
Got the wrong guy, pal.
No, it's Warren.
Hey. If you're of a certain age, you remember the show What's Happening? It was a huge hit about 3 friends, Raj, Rerun, and Dwayne. But they had a 4th friend who was always hanging around, a high school basketball player named Rafe. Rafe was played by Byron Stewart. He was the athletic, cool-headed one in the group. He was on the show for its entire run, from 1976 to 1979. When the show ended, it seemed like Byron Stewart was set for a good career. He was a recognizable face from a beloved sitcom. He even came back for the sequel show, What's Happening Now? In the 80s. He was a key part of the cast. And then, nothing. After What's Happening Now went off the air, Byron Stewart completely vanished from the public eye. He didn't do reunion shows, he didn't do guest spots, and he didn't do interviews. It was like he fell off the face of the earth. What many overlooked is that Stewart had other interests. He was battling some personal demons after the show ended and decided Hollywood was not a healthy place for him. He moved away, found religion, and started a new life completely outside of entertainment. He chose to disappear, leaving fans wondering for decades what happened to Rafe. He wasn't the only one from a classic sitcom to just walk away. The next actress was on an iconic show, but she chose a life of total quiet instead. 4. Lori Hendler.
I'm using a home computer to compose an electronic mail that I can send anywhere in the world. They call them e-letters.
Everyone remembers the show Taxi. It was a classic, full of huge stars like Danny DeVito and Andy Kaufman. The main woman in the cast was Elaine Nardo, played by Marilu Henner. In the final season, the show introduced a new character, Elaine's younger sister, Julie. Julie was played by a young actress named Lori Hendler. She was brought in to add a new, youthful energy to the show. She was funny, she was charming, and she held her own with the veteran cast. It looked like she was being set up to be a big new TV star. But then, Taxi was canceled after that season. Lori Hendler, who had also been a main character on the show Gimme a Break, just faded away. Unlike other actors who fight to stay in the business, Lori seemed to have other plans. She did a few tiny roles here and there, but she quickly grew tired of the Hollywood game. What did she do instead? She became a yoga instructor. She completely left the world of sitcoms and fame behind to focus on a quiet life of health and wellness. She vanished from our TV screens, not because of a scandal or a firing, but because she just didn't want it anymore. It's a rare story in Hollywood, but what about an actor who didn't just walk away, but became so famous for one thing that he vanished into that one single role forever? 5. Al Molinaro.
No, I heard that you were. I thought you'd never ask.
Yep. For an entire generation, that sound meant one thing. Al Del Vecchio, the guy who bought Arnold's Diner on Happy Days. Al Molinaro was one of the most recognizable faces on television for over a decade. He wasn't just on Happy Days, he was also Murray the Cop on The Odd Couple. Al was the classic that guy. He was funny, he was lovable, and he was everywhere. He was the master of the sad sack sigh. His face was known by tens of millions of people. But when Happy Days ended in 1984, Al Molinaro seemed to vanish. He wasn't showing up in movies, and he wasn't headlining new sitcoms. Where did he go? The truth is, Al was a victim of his own success. He was so famous as Al that no one could see him as anyone else. He was typecast, but he was also smart. He took his Happy Days money and opened a chain of real diners called Big Al's. He basically vanished from acting to become the person he played on TV. He did a few commercials, including a famous one for frozen pizza, but he was done with the Hollywood grind. He retired quietly and lived a long, happy life, passing away in 2015 at the age of 96. He didn't disappear. He just cashed in his chips and went home. He vanished into his most famous role. But the next actress is a TV legend who vanished from the sitcom world to build a whole new empire. 6. Marla Gibbs.
But when I watch the show, Sherman's timing is perfect. I think I'm talking fast and I'm slow.
We're moving on up to talk about a true TV icon. Marla Gibbs played Florence Johnston, the sharp-tongued, hilarious maid on The Jeffersons. She was so good that she stole every scene she was in. She was nominated for 5 Emmy Awards for that role. When The Jeffersons ended, Marla didn't slow down. She immediately jumped to another hit show, 227, which she starred in and produced. For almost 15 years straight, Marla Gibbs was one of the biggest and most successful women on television. Then, after 227 ended in 1990, she seemed to vanish from the sitcom world. The phone stopped ringing for those big, starring roles. But Marla didn't disappear. She was just too busy. What many people don't know is that Marla Gibbs is also a talented jazz singer. she vanished from TV to open her own jazz club in Los Angeles, where she would often perform. She went back to her first love, music. She also focused on community work and theater. She didn't need Hollywood anymore. In recent years, she has made a comeback, guest starring on shows like Grey's Anatomy and Days of Our Lives. But for a long time, she simply vanished from the primetime world she once ruled, all to build her own stage. Marla vanished to pursue a passion. But the next actor's vanishing was one of the most public and tragic in TV history. 7. Gary Coleman.
Hold your leg. Hold on, it's in your hair. I get it.
What you talking about, Willis? There was a time when Gary Coleman was the biggest child star on the planet. His show, Different Strokes, was a massive hit, and he was the main reason. He was charming, he had perfect timing, and he made millions. From 1978 to 1986, he was untouchable. He had his own catchphrase, his own cartoon show, and his own line of toys. He was the definition of a superstar. Then the show ended, and Gary Coleman vanished. Or rather, the star Gary Coleman vanished, and a new tragic story began. What many overlooked was that Gary was dealing with serious health problems his whole life. He also had terrible problems with his money. His parents and his managers mismanaged his millions, and he was left with almost nothing. He tried to keep acting, but he was so famous as Arnold that he couldn't get any serious roles. The charming kid vanished and was replaced by a man struggling in public. He took a job as a security guard, which became a huge news story. He had many run-ins with the law and lived a very difficult life. His story ended tragically when he passed away in 2010 at just 42 years old. He is the ultimate example of an actor who didn't just leave the spotlight, but whose entire star persona vanished, leaving a very sad reality behind. His vanishing act was public and painful, but the next performer vanished in a completely different way, right in front of our eyes. 8. Janet Waldo.
Jiggle him. Yeah, you have to keep moving or his arteries harden.
This is a really strange one. Janet Waldo was a huge star in the 1960s. She was the voice of Judy Jetson on the classic cartoon The Jetsons. Her voice was known by millions of kids. She was also a busy on-screen actress in the 40s and 50s. But as she got older, the on-screen roles started to dry up. So she vanished from in front of the camera and went completely into voice acting. She was the voice of Penelope Pitstop, Josie from Josie and the Pussycats, and dozens of other cartoon characters. She was a legend. Here's where the real vanishing act happened. In 1990, they made Jetsons, the movie. Naturally, Janet Waldo came in and recorded the entire part of Judy Jetson. She was the voice, and she had been for 30 years. But at the last minute, studio bosses did something awful. They decided they wanted a current star, so they hired the pop singer Tiffany to re-record all of Janet's lines. They completely erased her performance. Janet Waldo was heartbroken. She had been the heart of that character, and they just threw her out. The movie flopped, and many fans were angry. Janet vanished from her most famous role, replaced by a pop star. She continued to work in voice acting, but was deeply hurt by the experience. Being replaced is tough, but what about an actress who was so quirky and unique that Hollywood just didn't know what to do with her? 9. Dodie Goodman.
Oh, I know I'm gonna faint. I know I am gonna faint.
If you ever watched the bizarre late-night soap opera parody Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman, you remember the character of Miss Gunderson. She was the quirky, spacey announcer, and she was played by Dodie Goodman. Dodie was one of a kind. She had a high, squeaky voice and a talent for playing ditzy, offbeat characters. She was also a regular on The Tonight Show with Jack Parr. She was a recognizable and loved comedian. She later had a famous role as Blanche, one of the Pink Lady's helpers in the movie Grease. She was working and she was popular. But as TV changed in the 80s and 90s, the roles for her specific quirky style started to dry up. Sitcoms became more traditional, and there wasn't a place for a Dodie Goodman. So she vanished from mainstream TV, but she didn't stop working. She went back to her roots in theater. She performed on Broadway and in stage plays for decades, well into her 90s. She passed away in 2008. She didn't vanish from acting. She just vanished from the kind of acting we all knew her from. She was too unique for Hollywood, so she took her talents to a place that still appreciated her. She vanished from in front of the camera. The next person on our list did the exact same thing, but for a very different reason. 10. Chip Fields. Remember what's happening? We talked about Byron Stewart, but what about Dee's mom, Thelma? She was played by actress Chip Fields. She was a strong, funny, and loving mother, a key part of the show's heart. Chip Fields was a talented actress, but she had bigger dreams. She was also the real-life mother of two actresses, Kim Fields, who would later star as Tootie on The Facts of Life, and Alexis Fields, who would star in Sister, Sister. As her daughters' careers took off, Chip made a big decision. She decided to vanish from in front of the camera to manage her daughters' careers. But she didn't just sit on the sidelines. She went back to school, learned the technical side of television, and became a very successful TV director. She has directed hundreds of episodes of hit shows, including Sister, Sister, Kenan and Kel, and Tyler Perry's House of Pain. So while she vanished as an actress, she just moved to the other side of the camera. She became a powerhouse producer and director, shaping the very sitcoms her daughters were starring in. It's one of the smartest disappearing acts in Hollywood. She moved behind the camera. But the next actress is someone you know, but you probably can't name, because she vanished into dozens of roles. 11. Edie McClurg.
I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
I've got Bueller. Bueller? That's Edie McClurg as Grace, the secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She's one of the most famous character actors of all time. But she was also a sitcom staple. Her biggest sitcom role was as the nosy neighbor Mrs. Poole on The Hogan Family. For years, she was a regular on that show, a classic sitcom face. But did you ever see Edie McClurg as the star of her own show? No. After The Hogan Family, she vanished from any kind of main cast role. Instead, she became the queen of guest spots and movie cameos. She was in planes, trains, and automobiles. She was the voice of Carlotta in The Little Mermaid. She was in Natural Born Leaders. She was everywhere. She vanished from being a sitcom regular to become something bigger, the face you see in everything. She's the definition of a working actor. Sadly, in recent years, Edie has vanished for real. She is reportedly suffering from dementia and is no longer able to work. But her legacy as the ultimate that lady in Hollywood is secure. She vanished into a million small roles. But the next actor, well, he's one of the biggest stars in the world, but he's on this list because his first career vanished so completely, it's shocking. 12. Jason Bateman.
So there's the Roger that then there at the end for the button, which also means the last joke of a scene.
Wait, Jason Bateman? The star of Ozark and Arrested Development? How did he vanish? Oh, he vanished. Believe it. Back in the 1980s, Jason Bateman was a massive teen idol. He was the charming, fast-talking sidekick on Silver Spoons. Then he got his own show, It's Your Move. And then he replaced Valerie Harper on The Hogan Family. the same show as Edie McClurg. He was a huge child star. Then the 1990s came, and Jason Bateman vanished completely. His teen idol looks faded, and the phone just stopped ringing. He couldn't get a job. He went from being a primetime star to being that kid from the 80s. To put it mildly, his career was over. He has talked about how this was a very dark time, where he struggled with personal demons and was basically blacklisted. For almost a full decade, he was gone. Then, in 2003, he got a role on a weird little show called Arrested Development. It wasn't a huge hit, but critics loved it. And it completely resurrected his career. He pulled off the most impossible trick in Hollywood, the comeback. He vanished as a teen idol and reappeared 15 years later as one of the most respected adult actors in the business. He vanished and came back. The next actress on our list vanished from her hit show, and her story is one of the most tragic. 13. Dana Plato. This is a tough one. During the late 70s and 80s, Different Strokes was a three-legged stool. You had Gary Coleman, Todd Bridges, and Dana Plato as Kimberly. She was the sweet, funny, all-American girl, the rich sister who loved her adopted brothers. She was a beloved part of the show. But in 1984, Dana told the producers she was pregnant. Back in the 80s, this was a huge problem for a show about a sweet TV teen. The producers didn't know what to do, so they fired her. They wrote her character out, saying she moved to Paris. Just like that, she was gone. She came back for the final season, but the damage was done. After the show ended, Dana Plato's life spiraled. She tried to get work, but like Gary Coleman, she was too famous as Kimberly. She vanished from the spotlight and fell into a world of personal battles and bad choices. She appeared in some low-budget movies and posed for magazines to try and make money. Her story ended in 1999 when she passed away tragically at just 34 years old. Her vanishing act from the show was the start of a terrible and sad downfall. Her story is tragic. The next actor's story is just plain weird. He was a kid star, and he just walked away. 14. Jeremy Licht.
Is paying big bucks for Santas and helpers.
Remember Jason Bateman on Silver Spoons? Well, that show starred Rick Schroeder as the rich kid Ricky. And Ricky's best friend was a nerdy, funny kid named Mark. Mark was played by Jeremy Licht. For 5 years, Jeremy was on that hit show. He was a recognizable kid actor. He also had a big role on The Hogan Family. What is it with that show? He was a working kid actor with a bright future. When Silver Spoons ended in 1987, Jeremy Licht did a few more small roles. And then, poof, gone. He vanished from Hollywood completely. Did he have a tragic story? Did he get typecast? No, he just wanted to go to college. Jeremy Licht decided that the acting world wasn't for him. He wanted to be a regular person. He went to college, got a degree, and then went to law school. Today, he is a lawyer and co-founder of his own law firm. He's married, has kids, and lives a completely normal, successful life. He is one of the rare child stars who vanished from Hollywood and ended up totally fine. He just walked away and never looked back. He vanished for a normal life. The next actress vanished from TV to become one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. 15. Kirsten Dunst.
Me free fall until the very last second, and I was like, should have done that on camera.
This one might surprise you. Most people know Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane from Spider-Man or from her big, serious movies. But she got her start on TV. After she became famous as a child for Interview with the Vampire, she took a regular sitcom-adjacent role. She played a recurring character on the massive hit medical show ER. She was a troubled kid named Charlie. She was on the show for a full season. It was a big dramatic part, and she was great in it. She was poised to become a big TV star. And then she vanished from the small screen. Why? Because the movies came calling. Big time. She left ER and almost immediately starred in movies like Bring It On, The Virgin. Well, a movie about virgins. And then, of course, Spider-Man. She vanished from television so completely because she had become an A-list movie star. She didn't just move up, she rocketed out of the world of TV. It wasn't a mystery. It was an ascension. She vanished into movie stardom. But the next guy, he's famous for vanishing into show after show, but his biggest role just ended. 16. Ted McGinley.
He's your husband? Were you hurt so bad when I divorced you that you'd marry this?
Ah, Ted McGinley. He's famous in Hollywood for being the jumper. He's the guy shows hire in later seasons to try and boost ratings. He did it on Happy Days as Roger, The Love Boat, and Dynasty. But his biggest, longest-running role was as Jefferson Darcy on Married with Children. For 8 seasons, he was Marcy's handsome, lazy, and slightly dim-witted husband. He was a key part of one of the most successful sitcoms of all time. The show was a massive hit. And when it ended in 1997, Ted McGinley, well, he didn't exactly vanish, but his time as a main character on a primetime sitcom did. He went from being a star on a huge Fox sitcom to other things. He vanished into the world of daytime soap operas, guest starring roles, and TV movies. He became a co-host on a small talk show. He was still working, but that primetime magic was gone. He's still a recognizable face, but he vanished from the A-list of sitcom stars he had been on for so long. He's still working, but he's no longer the guy they call to save a show. He faded from the A-list. The next actress was part of a legendary comedy duo, but her big sitcom role just disappeared. 17. Ann Miara.
Okay, I'll pick you up at 10.
14 hours I was in labor with you. Very nice.
Most people know Ann Miara as one half of the comedy team Stiller and Miara, with her husband, Jerry Stiller. She was also the mother of actor Ben Stiller. She was comedy royalty. In the late 70s, she joined the cast of Archie Bunker's Place, the spin-off of All in the Family. She played Veronica, the cook at Archie's bar. It was a big role on a #1 show. She was nominated for an Emmy and a Golden Globe for it. She was a beloved part of the cast. And then, before the final season, she was just gone. Her character vanished with no real explanation. The thing nobody tells you is that Ann Miara asked to leave. She was a brilliant comedic writer and performer, and she felt the role was holding her back. She was tired of just being the cook and wanted to do her own thing. She vanished from that hit show to create her own show, a short-lived series called The Stiller and Miara Show. After that, she vanished into a new career as a beloved guest star, appearing on S and the City and The King of Queens with her husband Jerry. She left one hit show to build a legacy that lasted for 30 more years. She left on her own terms. But the next 2 actors were the biggest stars on TV, and then they vanished almost overnight. 18 and 19, Arte Johnson and Ruth Boozy.
How'd you like the quickies?
Oh, speaking of Gladys, have you seen her? How does she look?
Very interesting. If you know that catchphrase, you know Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. While not a traditional sitcom, it was the most important comedy show on TV from 1968 to 1973. And its 2 biggest breakout stars were Arte Johnson and Ruth Boozy. Arte was the German soldier who always found things very interesting. Ruth was the little old lady with the purse who would hit anyone who got out of line. They were huge. They were the biggest comedy stars in America. Then Laugh-In ended. And where did they go? They both vanished from the primetime spotlight. Arte Johnson, a brilliant character actor, found himself completely typecast. No one wanted Arte. They wanted the German soldier. He got so frustrated that he vanished into voice acting, becoming the voice of many cartoon characters. He lived a quiet life until his passing in 2019. Ruth Buzzi had a similar problem. She was always seen as the little old lady. She vanished from starring roles and went to work on shows like Sesame Street and The Dean Martin Show. She eventually left Hollywood completely to live on a huge 600-acre cattle ranch in Texas. She chose a life of quiet and nature over fame. They were the biggest stars on TV, and then, almost instantly, they were gone. They vanished into retirement. But our final actor vanished from his big break before it even really started. 20. Dick Gautier. Back in 1975, the legendary comedian Mel Brooks created a TV show. It was a parody of Robin Hood called When Things Were Rotten, and the man he picked to play Robin Hood was a handsome, funny actor named Dick Gautier. This was supposed to be his big break. The show was funny, it was from Mel Brooks, and Gautier was great in it. But it was on against the Waltons, a massive hit. When Things Were Rotten was canceled after just 13 episodes. Dick Gautier's chance at being a leading man vanished. But here's the kicker. You do know Dick Gautier. You just don't know it. After his sitcom vanished, he found a new career. Do you remember Jaime the Robot on the classic show Get Smart? The monotone robot who took everything literally, that was him. And after that, he vanished again, this time into voice acting. He was the voice of Rodimus Prime in the Transformers cartoon. He was Serpentor in G.I. Joe. He was the voice of dozens of characters. He vanished from being a leading man to a classic TV robot to a cartoon legend. He kept disappearing and reinventing himself, a true Hollywood survivor.